listen to Unsportsmanlike weekdays, 6 a.m. here on ESPN 106.3.
Theo Dorsey, who does Theoretically Speaking down at West Palm, weighed in on the bacon, egg, and cheese debate, and he said y'all don't know what y'all missing when it comes to jelly on the bacon, egg, and cheese.
Don't knock it till you try it.
While it's not always possible to see contaminated water coming out of the faucet, the taste is difficult to ignore. And what about plastics and pharmaceuticals now in the water? The team at Culligan is here to help. Culligan offers water testing and reverse osmosis systems designed to filter out those contaminants right at the source. Culligan has been helping the local community with water issues since 1936. Schedule your appointment today at Culligan.com.
Hey, Culligan man!
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
All into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
A beautiful Wednesday edition of Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3, January the 29th, live from Pop Stroke. It's Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat, as always, helping us out back at the City Play Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. Russo and Rizzo. Pop Stroke just opened up here, right here in West Palm Beach, right near the airport, right next to Drive Shack, too. So go get your drive on over there and then come over here and get the putting going. You got about more bars than you can shake a stick at. And they have about 5 different movie theater-sized screens that are around the course. So you can play, you can watch the game, and they got the Kansas City-Buffalo game on replay right now. They got ESPN over there. So they got about 100 screens. They got about 5 different bars. They have restaurant, they have food, places to sit, mingle, dessert spots. This is the ping pong tables, cornhole, foosball, outdoor seating, a bit of a turf area that we're on right now.
Yep.
I'm quite impressed with the luxurious nature of what Pop Stroke has to offer over in downtown West, or near downtown West Palm Beach.
This place is legit. I might have to dabble a little bit in the putting.
The crazy part is they have a shuttle right out front, and the shuttle goes back and forth from the airport, believe it or not. So for those who are looking for on a connecting flight, or there's a delay, or whatever it may be, you just got to hop on the shuttle, and it'll bring you back and forth to the airport, which is about a half mile away anyway. So talk about a great little in-betweener is hang out and go over to Pop Stroke, get in a quick 9. But Mike and I are here live now for the next 2 hours, 4 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 106.3. Lots to talk about today. We're going to talk with Steve Politzino a little later on in the program. Lots to do, a lot of fun to be had. And I guess starting out here, I was thinking about this earlier today. With the Chiefs getting this infamous three-peat, which is, of course, the looming story surrounding the Super Bowl, and the looming story surrounding the NFL is if they can do it, if they can accomplish the impossible in the Super Bowl era. It makes me think that now all of a sudden, with the last 7 or so years that you've seen from the Chiefs, they're entering a realm where, in terms of the great NFL franchises, they're not at the top, but they're definitely knocking on the door amongst the elite. And the elite, of course, includes the Packers, the Steelers, the Niners, the Cowboys, those teams. And then the Chiefs are right there with the Giants, right there with them. So at a certain point, I think I'm ready to start including them. Maybe it's a little early, but I'm going to be ready to include them in these conversations amongst the great NFL franchises in the history of the NFL.
There was a big shift when Andy Reid became the head coach. The Chiefs were an afterthought. I mean, Trent Green, when I was growing up, Colin Priest-Holmes, they had Larry Johnson. They had decent enough teams, but they weren't a household name. And I understand they won a Super Bowl before this three-peat.
They won Super Bowl 4.
Yeah, but to your point, if they win a three-peat, I think you got to put them in that conversation. Now, can they continue to be a stable franchise after this run that they're on? And we all think the run is eventually going to come to an end once, Andy Reid or Patrick Mahomes, whoever it may be, Travis Kelce, maybe one of those pieces moves on and they're not the automatic shoo-in to make the Super Bowl. But if you win a three-peat, I think you got to be considered.
Absolutely.
If you win a if you win a three-peat, you have to be considered for the conversation. And as long as Patrick Mahomes is playing quarterback in the NFL, I think you're going to be a stable organization. Now, the other ones you mentioned to me, too. Pittsburgh's intriguing. Pittsburgh hasn't won a playoff game in a long time. Dallas is intriguing because they can't get it done in the playoffs either. But to your point, the
5
lore,
championships.
yeah, the lore, what they've done in the past. So I like it. I think the Chiefs, if you win 3, now they'd be 4. Correct me if I'm wrong. It'd be 4 if they win this Super Bowl coming up against the Eagles. It puts you into the conversation. Now, Pittsburgh with 6, New England with 6, San Francisco with 5. I think San Francisco is another team that we'd have to put up there as well. But I know I'm rambling here. The Chiefs definitely belong in the conversation.
You mentioned the big one, the Packers. The Packers are probably number 1. Them and the Niners probably neck and neck amongst the great NFL franchises in the history of the NFL. But if you do a three-peat, and you do a three-peat, not only again, the Packers did, because the Packers won in 65, 66, and 67. They won in between before the merger, that last championship with Lombardi. And they also won a three-peat with Curly Lambeau. That was way back when. So if you accomplish the three-peat, doesn't matter, to me at least, the previous 25 years of not getting it done in the postseason does not, or 40 years really.
Right.
That, to me, gets a bit expunged with one of the great dynasties the NFL has ever seen. And it starts, you mentioned Reed, but it's Mahomes. I mean, we're looking at one of the most talented players in the history of the NFL that came onto the scene. And the latest he has lost in the postseason is overtime of an AFC title game. That, to me, is a big difference maker. And so, but I would probably put the Packers. I don't know if we're going to rank them. Packers, you'd probably put the 49ers, and then you're probably looking at the Steelers, number 3. And then you're probably flirting in that Patriots are probably number 4. Maybe number 3, a little higher than that. And then that Cowboys-Chiefs reign is probably where you're hanging around.
I wanted to ask, how much does recency bias have to do with it, though?
But three-peat.
I think with when we're grading the top-notch organizations in NFL history, you obviously look at the amount of championships, and I think relevancy is important too. How relevant, even if you're not winning championships, how good are your teams? Are you stable? Or are you consistently in the playoffs? Yeah, do you have players that go down in the history of the league? I think recency bias, we got to put the Patriots higher. I think with what they did with Belichick and Brady
probably 2 or 3.
As long as the Patriots did it, I think we have to put them higher on the list. That's my 2 cents on that. And I'm starting to, I don't want to say lose favor with the Packers, but they got 2010. They have Hall of Famers and Rodgers. And listen, I'm not even going to get into the amount of Hall of Famers that they have on the team. But I think because of the recency bias, I would put the likes of the Packers and maybe even the Chiefs higher on the list. And then I know I just got done saying championships matter.
You got to be fair with the Packers because the Packers,
they're stable.
What was that? 5 championships with Curly Lambeau, and then they won 5 with Lombardi.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden you win one with Holmgren, and then
we're counting
McCarthy. They won with multiple. It's a publicly owned franchise. Sure. It embodies the NFL. It's the little market. They're definitely in the realm of 1 through 3.
We're counting non-Super Bowls. Because
it's part of the NFL.
Okay.
And you want to do Super Bowl area, that's a different conversation. You're probably pointing strictly at the Steelers.
Right. Steelers got 6, Patriots obviously.
The NFL was 40 years before the Super Bowl as well.
I think if I had to make a list count, it'd be Patriots 1, it'd be the Chiefs 2, and then probably.
Now, the one knock on the Patriots is the Patriots did it under one dynasty. They got it done under one dynasty.
We've talked, though. It was over they did the dynasty, 2 or 3 different times.
But my point is it's over a 20-year period, but with the same coach and the same quarterback.
Fair. And I guess the way I want to grade, the way I would grade is recency bias. I understand, I understand the lore of the Packers. I understand the lore of the Cowboys and the 49ers and all of those great teams. But the fact of the matter is we just did a show yesterday talking about the teams that have been in the Super Bowl and what the parity or rather lack of parity in the NFL, and it's been 4 or 5 teams that are featured. So I would probably my top 3 right now. My top 3 would be Kansas City, it would be New England, and then it would probably be Pittsburgh. Just because Pittsburgh was. When I grew up, man, with the Ben Roethlisberger, the 2 Super Bowls they had, the consistency there a long time for Bill Cowher. Now, it was a long time, Colin, since they won 5 They waited a long time in 05 to win that one, but that would be my top 3. That's probably how I would want to grade
And
them.
they won some with Chuck Noll. They won 4 in the 70s. They won 2 back-to-back separately with the 2 Super Bowls in between. The Steelers have to be up there because they did it with a multitude of head coaches. You mentioned Cowher. They did it with Tomlin. They did it with Noll. They did it with multiple quarterbacks. That goes into the great franchise, which is why you can't put the Chiefs that high, because the Packers, for example, did it with three more. They did it with 4 head coaches, and they did it with 4 different quarterbacks.
Right.
So that goes into it. I know that they're consistently in there. They're consistently in the mix. 888-760-3776, the number to get into the program. Where would the Chiefs start to rank amongst the NFL's great franchises? What is your list if the Chiefs are not as high as maybe we're giving them credit for, if they're able to pull off this three-peat? 888-760-3776. Russo and Rizzo live here from Popstroke on ESPN 106.3. Another thing about the Packers, too, is they did it with Favre, but they're always in the mix. They've lost tight games. They're always right there. And the Niners, for example, too, did it with Bill Walsh and then George Seifert after Bill Walsh left town, and they won back-to-back Super Bowls with 2 different head coaches.
Yep.
And they did it with 2 different quarterbacks, too, with Steve Young and Joe Montana. So there's something to be said about them and that 80s and 90s, and then now they're in the mix here for the last 15 years.
Do we give – you mentioned the Niners, Kyle. Are we giving them credit for getting to the Super Bowl? Are we giving them credit?
Because that playoff success absolutely is something. That's why the Packers are
agree.
Playoff success, getting to a big game. They've lost 3 Super Bowls. So, yeah, there's something to be said about finishing the game, but there's also something to be said about getting to the game.
Yep.
So,
now this might ruffle some feathers, but Cowboys or Niners? I gotta go Niners. If we're putting them both head to head, it's San Francisco.
You hold. It's been 30 years since the Cowboys have even sniffed the NFC Championship game, and it seems like the Niners are there every other year. That run they had throughout the 80s and 90s was more impressive. I know the Cowboys did it 3 and 4 years, but it was more impressive because they did it with 2 different head coaches, 2 different quarterbacks, and a string of Hall of Famers: Rice, Lott, Sanders, Roger Craig, and they did Dwight Clark. So they did it with a slew of Hall of Famers, but they also did it with multiple coaches, which I think goes into it. So I would put the Niners above the Cowboys.
And talk about at their time, at their respected time, with the Niners, they went Montana to Young, like it was nothing. You know, like that's the definition of stability. I know I'm being hard on the Packers right now, but the one thing we could give the Packer Nation credit for is the consistency at the quarterback position when you go to Favre and then when you go to Aaron Rodgers. Now, I personally think we still have some stuff to find out about Jordan Love, but I understand people up north are ready to crown him as the next big thing. So I think that's something to look at as well, because it's the most important position in football. And I feel like that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers are struggling with the most. Life after Ben Roethlisberger. They haven't been able to make that transition.
Sebastian in West Palm Beach, 888-760-3776. Sebastian joins us on Russo and Rizzo now. Sebastian, what do you got for us?
What's going on, guys? How you doing? I just want to tell you guys that I love you guys. I listen to you guys every day. It's just an awesome being able to have you guys on the radio. Real quick.
Appreciate that, Sebastian.
Thank you, Sebastian.
No, you're good. You're good, man. I would honestly, I'm a Chiefs fan. I've been a Chiefs fan since '94. I've gone through a lot of turmoil these days being a Chiefs fan, because now it's like telling somebody you're a Chiefs fan, they just discredit it automatically. But that's just for another conversation. But I would take the Patriots first, because Tom Brady is Tom Brady, and that guy is the man. I'll take him, and then I'll put San Fran next, and then the Chiefs. And the only reason why I'm lining that up is because back then the football has changed. And, back then you can really touch the quarterback. You can really put the pressure on, and it was a way more of a contact game back then. So you got to put a little bit more respect for those guys and being able to take those hits and still win games, But, yeah, that's my list right there, guys. So you guys have a great day, all right?
Thanks, Sebastian. Thank you.
Good call. So Sebastian has the Chiefs at number 3 in terms of the all-time great NFL franchises. Now, the one thing about Sebastian there is he's probably discluding or not including purposely the Steelers, whatever his relationship with that is, because the Steelers have to be there. The Steelers have to be in that conversation. They probably would get the nod. Now, you don't love how the last 15 years for the Steelers have really went since 2010, really. But you got to think much bigger picture in terms of the great NFL franchise. And not only that, you got to think of the great coaches that have coached there, and you got to think of the great players that have played there. How many Hall of Famers have the Steelers had.
I know, dude.
Especially
Crazy.
defensively, it drives you crazy because you got the Palomalu era, and then you got the Mean Joe Green era with Jack Lambert, Jack Ham, and Rod Woodson. So there's so many great players that have played there. For me, the Steelers, I would say, but my point is, if they get this three-peat, the Chiefs are graduating to another level. They're graduating to the upper echelon of the franchises. And he said something interesting that kind of is helping me loosen up to what the Patriots have done. Tom Brady might be, by himself, the greatest franchise in the history of the NFL. Tom Brady by himself, the MVPs, the Hall of Famers he's played with, winning in multiple eras, winning with multiple teams. So if we're going to exclude him, Tom Brady's probably number one.
And this is like, I'm happy you brought that up, Colin, because remember the old conversations we had when Brady left New England. Would Belichick been able to do it without Brady? Would Brady been able to do it without Belichick? These were the conversations we were having. And I have a ton of family that's from the Boston area. And I remember when Brady left, they're like, oh, Belichick's going to figure it out. Belichick was the reason they were so successful. Tom Brady was a 6th-round, 7th-round pick, and it's going to be a seamless transition. It wasn't. And then Brady goes on, and he wins a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. So that's another good point in the sense of, where do we rank these players? Because forgive me for thinking Patrick Mahomes is not going to be done. I'm not saying that they're going to four-peat. If they win this year, I'm not sitting here and saying, oh, they're going to win again next year. But he's young. He's 30 years old. You'd think he'd get maybe 1 or 2 more after this Super Bowl.
Well, he's played 5 of the last 6.
That's what I mean. Like, there's no guarantees, Colin, that he's going to be done.
Similarly to how Brady elevated that franchise and made that franchise all-time great, Mahomes is doing the same, but Mahomes is doing it faster. Mahomes is doing it faster than Brady ever could. Brady took breaks, thank God. Brady took breaks. Brady took off 2 years here so the Colts can get there and the Steelers can get there. Mahomes is not doing this. So the Chiefs are going to be entering that conversation faster than people, and I know this doesn't erase 20 years of it not being the greatest comparatively, but you're only as good as your highest moments. And the Chiefs are entering some of the highest moments the NFL has ever seen.
Yep.
Now, the Packers have had it in multiple eras. So in terms of the longevity of it, there's something to be said there. But the Chiefs, they're knocking on the door. 888-760-3776, the number to get into the program. Where are the Chiefs going to be flirting with in terms of the all-time great NFL franchises? If they're able to pull this off, even right now, 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls, they're going to be an appearance by Kansas City. Let us know. 888-760-3776. This is going to be an interesting conversation. It's a little early, and maybe it's a bit recency bias, but outside of the Niners, the Packers, the Steelers, and the Patriots, can we put with the Staubach years and the Troy Aikman years, other than that, the Cowboys have done a whole lot of nothing.
They're the ones that are most suspect on the list as of late. And but
they've had great coaches. They've had Hall of Fame players. It's America's team.
Definitely. One of the more pulverizing logos and teams in the world.
Generally good regular seasons, too.
But, Kyle, I'm a tough grader. And if I'm going to hold myself to the standard of recency bias, with that being very important to me, they're the most suspect on my list. And they've had good teams. My God, the Tony Romo years, even the year 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I apologize if I got it wrong, but when Dak Prescott against the 49ers, when he didn't get the spike off in time, like, these are great teams that have not been able to get over the hump. Has it been coaching? Has it been Dak? Has it been unlucky?
Jerry Jones?
Is it Jerry being too hands-on? There's a lot of questions I feel like you got to ask yourself when it comes to the Cowboys and not being successful. And I don't think there's an excuse. I think with who they are and the relevancy that they still have in sports, even without winning, this should be a team that should at least be getting over the hump. I thought the year that got stolen from them, Colin, and I know my Green Bay Packer fans and ESPN Madison and Milwaukee are going to have choice words for me, but that Des Bryant call was a joke. One of the worst calls in NFL history. And I understand if luck would have swung their way that day, things would have been different. But the Cowboys, with how I grade, are the most suspect on that list. And I know it's been a little unlucky and whatever, but got to be Dallas.
Yeah, and the Cowboys, we know how great they were in the 90s. They were great in the 70s, in those years where they were kind of going back and forth with the Dolphins. The Cowboys But since then, we're looking at 30 years here of a pretty significant drought. So in terms of the all-time great NFL franchises, the Chiefs are in every position because people forget the Chiefs played in the first Super Bowl.
Yep.
They played the Packers that first game. And that was a Hall of Fame career they had with Len Dawson at quarterback. So the Chiefs, I think, are a little better than people give them credit for. They got to Kansas City, I believe, in like 62 or 63. And if they're able to reach this type of peak, they got to be flirting with it. They got to be flirting with some of the great NFL franchises in the history of the NFL. That's the bottom line. We roll on here. We're live from Pop Stroke. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat, of course, on the air with us back at behind the glass, actually, in the City Play Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. Got a big program planned. A little Steve Pollitt Sr. a little later, a little NBA trade deadline. What's going to happen there? De'Aaron Fox wants to go play with the San Antonio Spurs. We break down some of the franchises. Stick around for it. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text. Text HOT to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful Fed incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text HOT to 42424. That's HOT to 42424.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Want to accelerate your career as a manager or executive in the exciting industry of sports? Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program is ranked #1 in Florida and 10th in the world. Students learn practical and applied skills from top faculty and experts who work in the industry. With a 94% placement rate for all grads, the full-time MBA program sets students up for success in the world of sports. Check out Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program today by going to business.fau.edu.
This Valentine's Day, give the one you love a gift with endless possibilities. Give a gift card to the Breakers Palm Beach. Breakers gift cards let you treat the one who matters most to the things they love the most, like irresistible oceanfront getaways, lessons at the Breakers' new golf and racket club, pampering at the exquisite spa, and shopping at the resort's stylish collection of on- and off-site boutiques. Gift cards may also be used for dining at the Breakers' renowned restaurants and bars, including Echo, Henry's Palm Beach, HMF, and Flagler's Steakhouse. What's even better, for a limited time, when you purchase a $500 gift card online at thebreakers.com, you'll receive an additional $50 on that card, compliments of the Breakers. This Valentine's Day, give the one you love a gift card to the Breakers Palm Beach and remind them why they fell in love with you in the first place. Visit thebreakers.com today.
Welcome to Recycle Right Trivia, sponsored by the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County. Question 1. What belongs in the yellow recycling bin?
Newspapers, cereal boxes, magazines?
Correct! Now, blue bin. What goes in there?
Plastic bottles, aluminum cans, glass jars?
You nailed it! Remember, Palm Beach County, recycle right and stay in the game for our planet.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
If you've been in a car accident, truck accident, or suffered a slip and fall, my friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine over at Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys are here to fight for you. They don't charge you unless you win. They work tirelessly to get you the maximum compensation that you deserve. Listen, why settle for just any attorney? Demand Anajar and Levine today, because that's the Anajar and Levine difference. All it takes, one phone call to take back control of your life. Don't wait. Get your free consultation today. I personally think it's important to have somebody in your corner that makes sure that you get what you deserve if the compensation arises. That's what they do over at Anajar and Levine. 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Take back control now with Anajar and Levine. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat, live from Pop Stroke right here in West Palm Beach near the Palm Beach International Airport. Just opened up here in the last month or so, and about 1,000 screens that are movie theater caliber in terms of size and scale. They got about 9 bars. They got places to eat, places to sit, places to enjoy the sun, place to play some. You call this mini golf? Is this bigger than mini golf?
Yeah, dude, it's mini golf on steroids
is
what I'm calling it. And one of our hosts here, Kate Chumslin at ESPN West Palm 106.3, he's going to play. I think he's going to play when it's all said and done tonight. So I'm going to have to get his opinion on how this track works.
Yeah, it looks like much harder, I would say.
Oh, dude,
based on looking on it right now.
It ate me up and spit me out from the looks of it, Kyle. I mean, we're putting uphill. We're putting uphill on one of these things here. So pretty nice, folks.
Chiefs flirting with a three-peat now with the Eagle game coming up here in just about a week and a half. And I'm wondering, where would they rank amongst the great NFL franchises if they are able to pull this off, if they're able to reach this type of peak, a three-peat in the Super Bowl era, something that has not been done before. A couple times 3 and 4 years, but never 3 in a row. And if you want to count the Packers because they won in 65 as the last championship before the merger, fine. But there's something to be said about reaching this type of peak and where the Chiefs would now rank amongst the great NFL franchises alongside, probably a little behind, honestly, the Packers and the 49ers and maybe a little bit of the Patriots. But, the Steelers, the Cowboys. Another team we haven't brought up yet is the New York Giants. New York Giants, a team that is alongside basically the Bears since the 20s. The Giants have been winning championships. They had droughts the 60s through the 90s. But once Parcells got in there, they won 2. They won championships. This team that won 4 Super Bowls, including one of the most important Super Bowls in the history of the NFL, and beating the undefeated Patriots.
Right.
So in 07 with Coughlin. So another team that, the recency bias does not look great. Same thing with the Dolphins, but over its history, it's pretty storied. And a lot of Hall of Famers have played there. The best defensive player of all time played there. And some of the great coaches of all time. So the Cowboys, the Giants another team flirting with some of the best franchises in NFL history. Another team that's probably hanging around there. I don't know if that's where you put Kansas City. The Giants have done it. Championships with Steve Owen back in the 30s. They did it with championships in the 60s before the merger. And then, of course, the championships over in the 90s. Mm-hmm. So it's another team that has succeeded in its own right throughout a long history. So that's another team that has to be flirting with the top there.
We put the Giants we put Green Bay over the Giants, correct?
100%. Green Bay's 1 or 2.
Okay.
Green Bay's 1 or 2.
Okay. Because and I understand it's a broad scope of things. This is back before the Super Bowl days, but same amount of Super Bowls with 4. The Giants got 4, the 2 recently with Eli Manning, and then obviously the ones you mentioned with Parcells and company. But Green Bay with 4, the Giants with 4. I think it's an interesting conversation.
Think about appearances, Hall of Fame.
Right.
Let's define the criteria.
Okay.
888-760-3776, the number again.
And Kyle, quickly, I think it's more recency. I'm more of the favor of recency bias. Maybe it's because I'm 30 years old and, Kyle, we're younger guys. Maybe that's why I'm putting more stock in
you
recency
only know what you've
bias.
seen.
Exactly. So I would put the Giants on the same level as the Packers personally. I don't know, partner. It's tough.
If you want to talk about recency bias, how's the Giants been in the last 10 years?
Correct.
And how have the Packers been?
But you mentioned that and
Packers have had MVPs.
This is a whole nother conversation. I think the best team ever was that team that lost in the Super Bowl. Was that Patriot team that lost in the Super Bowl? I mean, Brady and Moss were unstoppable that year. That was a force.
It was an important playoff game.
And Colin, how about Tom Brady, who has gotten it done with Julian Edelman and tight ends and Wes Welker? The 1 year he had that people say that he had an elite wide receiver.
He had Gronk his whole career, but fair enough.
You understand what I'm saying, though? An elite wide receiver, they almost go undefeated. So I think with that win in that game and the David Tyree catch and the Brandon Jacobs hard-nosed first down on 4th and 1 to keep that drive going, I think there's something to be said there for the New York Football Giants.
Yeah, most important. You think about the importance. If we're going to define criteria, you got to think of a couple things. You got to think of the Hall of Fame players, the Hall of Fame coaches, the storiness of the franchise. How long has it been? Is it a staple in NFL history? The Giants are. Now, the one thing is, something with the Patriots is they're defined by what Brady did. They're defined by what Belichick did. That is what that team is. I believe the Patriots lost the Super Bowl in the mid-'90s, but that is a team that was defined by that one era.
Yep.
So you got to take into consideration how much you value teams that multiple eras, multiple coaches, multiple quarterbacks, how they're able to get it done. That's why I give the Packers a lot of credit, the Steelers a lot of credit, because they're able to do it multiple pieces of time. And the Chiefs have, because the Chiefs were great with Dawson. They flirted with the Super Bowl. They were never going to win. In Super Bowl I, that was a great Packer team, but they won in Super Bowl IV. Mm-hmm. So there's something to be said there. That is the Colts, another team. Not terrifically great over it, but if you're going to include Baltimore and the whole thing, something to be said there. But the Giants are another team flirting in that upper third of the NFL
and to
history.
your point, maybe you need 5. Maybe that, unless you're the Packers, because we make the exception for the Packers with their great past, maybe you do need 5 Super Bowls to get into that conversation of the, the Cowboys, the Niners, obviously with the Patriots and the Steelers having more. But the players, man, the Brady, the Mahomes, I think there has to be something said there being the best at your craft. Brady was the best at his craft for 2 different decades,
well,
it
these
seems
are the
like.
great these are the great players in NFL history.
Right,
it's different than the franchise.
Kyle, I'm assuming Mahomes, and I know I alluded to this last segment, why do we think Mahomes is going to be done after this year? Might they have a time off? Sure. But anytime you got him lining up at quarterback, you got to think they're going to be in this conversation.
Similarly to Tom Brady. Anytime you had Brady under center, you were going to win games.
And that's why I'm so, everyone was so hyper-focused on the breakup of Belichick and Brady. What's going to happen with the breakup of Reed and Patrick? I got to think, too, if we're going to call the Chiefs stable and if we're going to call them, one of the elites of the elites, they're going to figure out that the next head coach is plug and play. You got the quarterback in place.
I don't want to downplay Reed too much, but that's part of the reason, a la Bill Walsh with the Niners. Maybe Reed doesn't want to walk away in the middle of what's so great with them right now, because all of a sudden he walks away and Spagnuolo takes over at head coach.
And he's failed it before, right?
But if they with the Giants, but if they all of a sudden win a couple Super Bowls, then that looks worse for Reed.
Sure.
So you want to walk away sort of when you're all done.
Mm-hmm.
And Reed's getting older, and I would imagine that Mahomes outlasts him. But Bill Walsh, George Seifert stepped in there. They won a Super Bowl the next year in 94, 95.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be the conversation with Andy, though, if Patrick continues to have success, right? Is that really going to be,
88, it was 88, 89, excuse me.
Okay, no, you're good. But I don't think that'll be the conversations with Reed. Reed is like,
does he care? Is that the question?
I don't think he cares.
Belichick, cared. Belichick and Brady both cared.
They do, and I feel like with Belichick, how he was such a stiffler with a lot of things that he did. You know what I mean? He was a stinker with the media. It's the exact opposite for Reed. I feel like everyone likes Andy Reid. No one liked Bill Belichick, dating back to his time as a defensive coordinator in New York and the head coach of the Cleveland Browns before they moved. So I feel like the breakup in that sense won't be as hard for Reed, but I understand.
I'm not anticipating some sort of divorce. I'm not anticipating something like that. But I'm saying in terms of building a legacy, do you want to walk away when it's at the top of its game, when you're amongst the elite of the NFL? You're the untouchable.
Sure. Well, let me take this a step further. Patrick, Brady. Does Patrick need to win one without his storied head coach in order to be better than Tom Brady?
What
kind of conversations?
Brady's got 7. You got to chase. He's got a ways to go, and Brady will always have that 2-0 over Mahomes in big games in the playoffs. But
he was a baby. Patrick was like a baby in those games, right?
Sure, he won the MVP.
That's the master
versus. He won the MVP that year. But I mean, was he a baby? Mike,
Kyle,
freaking good.
Kyle, that's the master versus the up and coming Padawan, right? That's
fair.
The passing of the torch.
There's something to that, but it was back-to-back years too with 2 different franchises. How's that?
Okay.
So there's something to that. Now the one thing I would say is with Brady and how that's the only person that Mahomes is chasing is Brady. So if we want to talk about the legacy on that regard, fine. But in terms of the franchises, I think there is something to be proven when you do it with multiple coaches and you do it with multiple quarterbacks. So the Mahomes, amongst the great players, we're already looking at a top 3, let's be honest, a top 2 quarterback in the history of the NFL. Let's be honest with ourselves. So we're already looking at that. Those two are so solidified in their positions that it's almost hard to argue because he just needs to continue doing it like Brady did throughout, not through his 40s, but for the next 5 to 10 years in order to have a conversation. The franchises is more of an argument because there's more errors at play.
Agreed. And Mahomes is ahead of schedule.
He's way ahead of schedule.
He's ahead of schedule than
that's
Tom
not what
was.
made great. That's not what made Brady great. What made Brady great is he was consistently doing it for 25 years.
The longevity.
That's why Brady was great. Brady was not great because he lit the world on fire for 10 years and then he fell off a cliff.
Did you know an NFL without Brady? I mean, I think I went a year. I think I went a year without Tom Brady being in the NFL. It's similar
when they had Castle at quarterback and they won 11 games.
Brother,
that was a year after, I think.
And it's similar with like LeBron too. You know, LeBron has been in the league longer than some, older 20-year-olds have been alive. It's all we've known, right? Brady was all we knew of the NFL for so long. Patrick has a chance to do the same thing.
Got to continue doing it. Got to continue making his impact known. But if they're flirting with that three-peat, we're looking at one of the great franchises in the history of the NFL. I'm not saying the greatest. I'm saying in that upper fourth, that's where the Chiefs, maybe they're already there. That's where the Chiefs are. You get that 4th Super Bowl. You did it with multiple eras. You have a Hall of Fame coach. You have had multiple Hall of Fame players. Patrick Mahomes right there.
Kelsey.
You put yourself into that conversation. You cannot have as high of a peak as the Chiefs are entering or flirting with and not be amongst the great NFL franchises.
Side note, is Jones a Hall of Famer?
Jones.
Defensive line.
Chris Jones?
Yes, sorry. Defensive lineman for Kansas City. I apologize.
There's a bunch of different directions.
I was about to be like, wait a minute. But
Chris Jones is probably a Hall of Famer. He's a 3-time, 4-time first-team All-Pro. I don't even know off that.
And remember,
I
feel like Kyle, they played one game without Jones. It was that Lion game 2 years ago to open the season. And he was up for a
contract dispute. Right?
Yeah, it was up for a contract. And the day after they lost that game, I think they figured out a contract with him. So, and I think
he's a 3-time first-team All-Pro, and he's never been Defensive Player of the Year, but 3-time first-team All-Pro, you're getting in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and I think with that defense too, and I don't know. Belichick's defense was a huge reason the Patriots, trust me, were as good as they were. I think the same could be said for the Kansas City Chiefs as of late, the last 2 years at least.
Yeah, absolutely. The multiple Hall of Famers. Travis Kelce is a Hall of Famer. They have Creed Humphrey's probably on his way to being a Hall of Famer.
I got one for you. Tyreek Hill. I know he's not on the team anymore. What are we
going
to do with
screwed
Tyreek?
up his own legacy by not being involved.
Fair enough.
But Travis Kelce, we're looking at a top 2 tight end in the history of the NFL. I would probably take Gronk over him just off of dominance, but Travis Kelce is amongst a top 4 playoff performer in the history of the NFL, amongst the likes of Edelman and Moss, and go down the list. So we're looking right now, the fact that we're talking historically and where these players and the team and the franchise hangs around historically goes to show just how much the great, and listen, we don't want to carry water for the Chiefs, but just the greatness that we're looking at. You can't have the peak that they have, and they're going to be in the realms of the Niners, the Steelers, the Packers. They're going to be hanging around that. The Dolphins are a great franchise as well. So, weirdly enough,
the undefeated season. Partner, the undefeated season.
They have the peaks. So, the peaks is what you're defined by. The Raiders, we haven't seen them, but they've been a great NFL franchise. So, there's something to be said about that. The longevity. Even the Bears, not a great Super Bowl era team, but a team that is storied franchise.
And I'm going to take it a step further, too, and I promise this isn't me being a homer, but the Browns with Jim Brown. You know, the Browns won a ton of championships
in the 50s
before the Super Bowl era.
A lot of MVPs. So we continue on here. We got to talk with Steve Palazzino in just a few short moments here. He's walking in. I guess we'll have him live. We haven't usually had him live, I believe since the Boca Bowl. So we'll talk to Steve Palazzino coming up here shortly. But we're live at Pop Stroke, outdoors in the beautiful weather. You could go and grab a drink, grab some food, play some ping pong, or go on the course. They have multiple courses here with a bar on site. They walk you your drink. They got a swimming pool on the second floor. And they have a swimming pool on the second floor of this complex. You got to see it to believe it. huge screens. This is the sports fans' paradise. That's where we are right now with Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, Christian Cat back at the studios in that box. We'll just have to let him imagine what this looks like. But we roll on here. We'll invite Steve Palazzino into the program next. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Is your air or water flowing perfectly in your home? If the answer is no, EDS is yes. Theo here, and for me, EDS Air Conditioning and Plumbing is my go-to, and it should be yours too. EDS is Palm Beach County's trusted AC and plumbing expert. They'll make sure your air and water flow perfectly. EDS is a train comfort specialist. It's hard to stop a train. Go to edsisyes.com. That's edsisyes.com. When comfort matters, EDS is yes.
South Florida's one and only PGA Tour event returns to the Champion Course at PGA National, February 26th through March 2nd. The Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches will deliver a best-in-class on-site experience featuring a variety of fan amenities alongside the premier competition. Kids 15 and under are admitted free with a ticketed adult. This can't-miss event is right around the corner. Buy your tickets now at thecognizantclassic.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Improve your golf game fast at the all-new Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center. The Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center has the facilities, tools, and coaching you need. Enjoy the best facilities in the area with an expansive chipping and putting area, practice bunkers, a huge putting green, plus a 2,000 square foot indoor training area with 3 hitting bays, cutting-edge analysis technology, and more. The Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center in the heart of Palm Beach County off I-95 and the Turnpike. Find out more at KaiserGolfCenter.com.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Go start your day off with a win over at F45, locations in Wellington and downtown West Palm Beach. $30 for your first 3 classes if you get started now. Go check out their Instagram, downtown West Palm Beach F45. It's more the functional side of working out, class style with coaches on site. It's not necessarily the Olympic lifts that I'm used to, but it's more functional. It's about the stretching. It's about getting your heart rate up, high-intensity interval training. And also, it's got a great social scene. You go and you meet a bunch of like-minded fitness individuals who are there to have a good time, get a sweat in, start their day off with a win, and enjoy their time at F45. Then you can chat afterwards, and you meet a bunch of people that are in the area. That's what F45 has to offer. Go check it out. I'm there every single morning, so you can see me there as well at the downtown location. But it's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat. We're live from Pop Stroke Outdoors. I don't think you could sculpt a better day in terms of weather-wise. And we're joined by Good Karma Brands President, Palm Beach Sports Commission Hall of Famer Steve Palazzino, presented by Duffy's Sports Grill, joining us live and in person. Steve, have you been on with us live?
I don't
Just
think
you
we've
and I did the Boca Bowl, I believe. and
Yeah,
that was it.
yeah. I think that was the first. Yeah, what it is I never get invited to do the studio with you guys.
Oh, so it's
I
an
do
invite thing.
on-site events.
Well,
with
Steve
you
has
guys.
calls. Steve has people. He's got to make sure that everything's squared away. Steve runs about 1,000 different things at one time, and then all of a sudden it's our problem that we're not inviting him, getting him out there.
Hang
we
on,
know
and,
his busy schedule.
and Steve knows he's welcome in studio anytime he wants.
And are you guys okay? I mean,
Yeah,
I've seen you since, but last time I saw you was Saturday at the rec
youth
basketball
game when we lost by 20.
You guys were right in there
Steve.
for 3 quarters.
Thanks.
Right
Really
in there
was-
for 3
It got
quarters.
out of hand. It did get out of hand.
Yeah,
The game
Rizzo's
got away.
still really mad. Rizzo's still mad.
There was an incident that happened with a coach, and I was very upset.
He was trying to sub in his backups. He was trying to clear the bench.
very
Riz was
upset.
furious. He called the timeout up 22
I
with
was
30
very
seconds
upset.
left.
And then not to mention him asking me if I was a coach after
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't
that
like
was
the call.
definitely-
I called him a local joker. It was the whole 9
Yep,
yards.
yep, yeah.
At
May
a youth
have
basketball,
lost a listener.
At a youth basketball game at that too. With I know it's first round, but tensions got high. We were playing the number 1 seed, lost in that one, but you still got your team still in the mix there.
Yep, we're still alive. Got through the weekend and have the semifinals on Friday night.
You confident?
Well, I asked you both if you wanted to join me as off-season analysts.
yeah.
And nobody showed up in practice.
It's the
Neither of you showed up in practice.
It's the
last
Pat
night.
Riley routine
Yeah.
that we love talking about. That Steve Politziner thinks he's Pat Riley and Phil Jackson running this 5th and 6th grade team. Ask if you need analysts.
I'll tell you, Steve was,
You get into it. You get into it.
He was. I went to one of the practices where he got animated. The kids listened though.
Yeah.
The kids listened
Yeah, I
to
don't know.
Steve, and he's
I
got
don't
that
know.
respect level with the kids.
I'm not sure about that.
Steve, we haven't talked to you since on air since the divisional or the conference championships.
Yeah.
2 good games, $57 million that Bills Chiefs game did. So clearly there's an appetite for what the Chiefs have to offer. But another game where the Chiefs escape in a way, but the refs are a big storyline amongst the game. Was this a game for you? Did you have a problem with how this was handled, or are people overblowing this?
I have never been one to say that, like, when people say, oh, the refs, I want to understand the truly, take me all the way back to the logic. So an email comes down from Goodell, and who does the email go to?
Right.
And it goes to the 3 refs publicly, an email right before the game, or this is encrypted through some special
And they
thing
have
of
to-
special instructions.
And then spur of the moment have to figure out a call that is so subjective to the point.
It's called the script.
Yeah.
Steve, the
Yeah.
script, the NFL script.
And they get sent the script, during the week. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm naive. But I have not felt like there is this script. It is.
I'm not
there,
talking
things
about-
do happen in certain ways. It makes you ask questions.
In
I
favor
also
of
don't
the
think
Chiefs.
the NFL would have been opposed to the Bills being there, too. I mean, whatever the scenario was, the Ravens were there. They had whatever they needed in the AFC.
Did you have a problem with that 4th and short call and then calling the turnover on downs early 4th?
That was curious. That was the 4th down. The 4th and short was curious because you've seen the breakdowns on ESPN and otherwise on who has the main authority on that. But I still say in the instance. So what do you think? The judge who didn't
The two sideline judges were not on the
They
same
were not.
page.
Right.
It was a disgrace.
Right, and that one said, I got it because I'm rooting for the Chiefs to get there. That's where you just lose me on that.
No.
It sounds crazy.
But there is favorability. The Chiefs get every call.
You're calling
I'm not
it like
saying it's
unconscious bias. You're saying unconscious
I'm not
bias.
saying they're doing it for the point of making sure that the Chiefs move on. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
I
there's any
don't-
sort of rigging
yeah.
or anything like that. That is stupid. But there is no doubt in my mind that the Chiefs get every call. It's just what I'm seeing. Unless they're so talented that they're able to adhere and get every single call known to man, that's just mine. Takeaway on this, it's just they
I'll
get
tell
every
you
call.
what,
It's
when-
always the refs. There's always a story with it.
I think when you saw Mahomes on the Netflix show the first time the Chiefs were in it, he told you about how he curries favor by saying good job and he helps everybody and he's so friendly to the refs. That might be the unconscious bias, is that people don't hate him. Is that look,
He's likable.
if you're a ref, you're supposed to be unbiased, but you're a human also. So maybe somewhere unconscious, not something you're thinking about, might end up factoring in. But I don't think that's not a conspiracy. That's not a note from Goodell. That's not the networks told me that I had to make this call. That stuff to me it's asinine when I hear that
Well,
stuff.
we saw the Patriots get calls, and Belichick certainly wasn't a likable guy. Obviously, the the tuck rule with
And they
Tom
changed the
Brady.
rule.
Yeah. So
Now all of a sudden they
the
might
flake
change the
game,
rule with the
We've seen-
first
this
downs
is- this
now
isn't-
with chipping the
like,
ball.
I've come to the understanding. Personally, I think the Chiefs are getting calls, and it's outrageous. But we've seen this with every dynasty in the NFL. And
The Chiefs are the team that got screwed
partner-
against it with the Chris Jones offside.
Correct.
Oh,
But-
no, was it D Ford? Excuse me.
Yeah, but D
Why
Ford.
is he always
let's,
crying?
let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Let's
be honest,
He
though.
get bad news right
Guys,
before the
guys.
games?
D
Guy's always
Ford.
crying.
D Ford was 5 yards offsides,
Right.
though.
Right.
So I completely understand the point. And I hate to keep bringing this up, Steve. I thought it was a first down on 2 plays.
Yeah.
We don't count.
I
I don't
do
really
too.
see eye to
I
eye
do
on the
too.
Kincaid one. I thought Kincaid was the first down, and I certainly thought
But I
Allen
couldn't
was the first down.
understand.
But to your point, okay, to your point, when you have the ball on your own 47-yard line down 3 with 2 minutes left in the game, figure it out. Like, I could sit here and complain about the refereeing until kingdom come, and I do. Trust me.
Yep.
You listen. I complain about the Chiefs and the favoritism. If you're Josh Allen, Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Bills, you got to find a way. You got to find a way to at least tie the game. Now, listen, I understand scoring a touchdown in Arrowhead late in an AFC Championship game isn't the easiest thing to do. But you at least got to find a way to tie the game if you at least got to find a way to tie the game if you're the Buffalo Bills and get 3.
You know what bothers me about it? It's not that it's like enough of the Chiefs. It's you have Lamar and Josh Allen who are going to be in the Hall of Fame and may never play in a Super Bowl. It's just like bad timing. It's like being a great golfer in the Tiger Woods era. You know, Mickelson eventually would break through and get his.
Yep.
It just bothers me. I want to see these guys also
You're a perennial
play in the
second
Super
place
Bowl.
guy, yeah.
Oh wow. Really, there's a backhanded dig in there, but yeah, that's the part that bothers me. I want to see those guys get their shot in the Super Bowl. I don't want a debate. You know what? I guess really at the end of the day, I don't want after those guys retire, 5 years after those guys retire, me hear about someone standing up at the Hall of Fame debate room and say, yeah, Allen was great, but product of the era as far as his stats, and he never played in a Super Bowl. Like, what?
Yeah.
And these are
There's context to it.
Yeah.
He's a great postseason player. It's like you mentioned Tiger. It's like Ewing with the Knicks and those teams against Jordan.
Exactly. That's exactly what
that
it
team
is.
probably should have won a title.
And you know why it's Ewing? Because Ewing missed some big shots, and Allen didn't. He didn't see the blitz coming. Brilliant play call by Spagnuolo, and then at the end of the day, can't execute the play. The Kincaid drop, I would love to see just from more angles, because I think what actually happened, because he's pretty sure-handed when he gets a look.
Yeah.
I think what actually happened is the guys got in his way, kind of blocked him
Well,
out.
CBS did
and
a
he
bad
missed
job
it.
with that because you
Yeah,
didn't see that.
I
You didn't
know.
see the
Give me
replay
angles. Yeah.
until the Chiefs are down the field,
Right.
and then all of a sudden they go back to it.
I
So
totally agree.
I had a big
Disgrace.
problem with how they handled that.
I
But
don't like
and
it.
I give Romo credit too for on the play-by-play for acknowledging the side judge coming in and changing his spot there
yes.
live and in person.
He's so good. He's so good.
You love Romo?
I think he is.
Is that the best
great.
booth in your head?
Oh, yeah. I think
Really?
that is hands
But
down
we
the
wait.
best booth.
Listen,
What do you think's better?
We're sponsored.
Brady?
We're
Buck and
sponsored
Aikman.
by
No,
Buck and
not
we're-
Brady.
No. I like what you're sponsored.
We're sponsored by
because
Buck and
ESPN?
Aikman. By Buck and Aikman. We're
They're
sponsored
very
by
good.
Buck and
All right.
No, they're very good. They're very good. I love.
But you get a lot out of Romo. I think Romo had a good game on Sunday, but I think Romo generally can
cheerleading.
Overtalk. Yeah, cheerleading is another way to put it.
He's wrong sometimes on what he predicts, but I think he takes more chances than Aikman ever
No,
takes.
Aikman's brutally honest.
Aikman's not gonna. The thing with Brady. The big problem I had with Brady this year is Brady just overtalks his way. He's trying to dissect every little piece. It's almost like he's got too much information at hand.
Yeah.
And Brady, and similarly to Romo sometimes can over-explain what's going on.
Yep.
The 57 million people that are watching, maybe 80,000 of those people care about the
to
actual
that
X and
level
O's
of
that
depth.
you care.
Yep.
So other than that, the casual fan just needs to be explained about what's going on and why it happened. That's why, to certain credit, I give Collinsworth some credit because he is fairly.
He sort of does it all.
He's sort of vanilla about it, and I don't think that's a problem. I think his voice.
You don't like him because he's
Correct.
your
Correct. But
conference rival.
correct. But
Right, but I think to that the vanilla explanation sometimes does it a service in a game because Brady's talking into the next play. They're in the middle of the next play and he's still trying to explain the previous one.
Yep.
Tom, Kevin's time. Let's take a pause. Let's take a break there. So
I don't know. Tom feels like he's still working through it. on each like he's overthinking them.
How do you
Tom feels like he's got too much going on, guys.
How do you feel like he's going to handle this? You think they stick with him? He's going to stick it out, or is he going to take?
You mean he walks away to go get more involved?
I don't see how he does it.
Maybe
Steve.
this is
Why
not
would
for
he
me.
walk away for the money? No. I think I think it's fun. These guys get to go and travel. It was like my theory that I gave Mike on why I don't see Deion in the NFL this year, because he wants Sundays to go watch his kids, and then he'll try to figure out where they end up, and maybe does he angle for that job. I think right now, Brady, these NFL players, what you hear from them, what they say is the hardest thing when they retire is the lack of structure, because no sport has more like every single day structure on how you spend it. So just to have a little bit of that.
It's not bored. There's not a lot of benefits to retiring at 30 off of that alone, because for guys who worked so hard for the prime of their life, then all of a sudden to stop and to stop having that just excess of just effort, and then all of a sudden you don't know what to do with yourself.
And they're maybe old by NFL years, but they're not old.
These guys
like
are young
35.
men. They're young men. Greg Olsen is a young man. And another guy who's complaining about not being in the big game. Did you see this? And how he said it drives me up the wall that I'm not calling big games.
He said that, huh?
And I give Olsen
well,
credit.
He kind of lost in a numbers game. Like nothing he did.
He's the Josh Allen in our scenario. He's the Josh Allen.
I'm going to be transparent. I think Greg Olsen's better than Brady, but Brady got the job because of the name. And I think
you're acting like it's nepotism. It's the best quarterback of all time.
People would to that point, people would much rather hear from Brady. But I thought Greg, he's got more experience, but I thought Greg did a better job. And listen, I love Brady. This isn't me attacking Tom. I just think he should focus on the Raiders. Does he need $38 million, guys?
Should he say no to it is the real question. No.
Does he need the money?
Hold on. This is like, you don't blame the players or the recipient when the money's there, right? You blame the system.
Fair.
So it's more like, should he be able to do this and also be able to have an equity interest in the team? That's the point.
Do you have a problem with that?
I don't love it. I don't love it because I think that it feels to me like it was an exception made because of him.
That's why a lot of people had a problem with Herb Street with the Ohio State thing, too, getting emotional in the postgame as well. They're like, he shouldn't have vested interests.
He has spent years killing Ohio State. There's Ohio State people who think that he's too hard on Ohio State and that he goes the other way. So, no, I don't have a problem with that. No. He doesn't own college football. He doesn't own the CFP.
But he's the voice of college football.
But he was the
and a good one. Everyone had a play somewhere who was a player.
Totally. But he doesn't let that Ohio State. He let it shine there. That's what I'm saying. You shouldn't necessarily. I had a problem with that. You shouldn't go out there and start crying.
It's been a long year for him.
You got to be the objective
lost
guy.
the dog.
So listen,
He
talked about it though. Like, it was more than that. His son was dealing with some stuff. His wife was sick. His wife has breast cancer. The dog dies. He's close with.
Listen, I understand that's a tough family situation, but now that's supposed to be the excuse.
He played quarterback there.
Why you're excusing him to?
Colin, he played quarterback there.
Now we bring up the quarterback card. I thought the dog was a little much. That's just my opinion on the reason that you're getting emotional about Ohio State winning it all. But maybe I'm being a little too harsh on the guy. He seems like a decent guy. But I don't know. I don't think it's that the place calling the game. There's an objectivity that comes with that job.
If you're Brady, wouldn't you rather be eating shrimp cocktail with Mark Davis? I know.
So your biggest thing is not that you're like, why would you do it?
Well, first off, Colin had to explain to me a couple of days ago. I didn't know what the hell he was for Mark Davis.
Yep.
He's an owner.
He's a minority owner.
So go sit in the owner's box, eat shrimp cocktail, and have Mark Davis give you millions of dollars.
I mean, he's an advisor, but he clearly needs a rush sitting with Mark Davis for
that football talks to him when he's throwing it around pregame. That football talk. He'd come out of retirement tomorrow.
I guess that's the difference between me and Tom Brady. I'd rather eat steak and shrimp cocktail while watching the game.
Yeah, well, that's why he is where he is.
And we're at
and that's why I'm a radio personality.
Pop Show on a Wednesday.
Correct.
Pop Show on a Wednesday.
Correct.
Steve Politzino, the Good Car Rents
turf.
president. Joining us on Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. Steve, pivoting really quick. The trade deadline's coming up in the NBA. I know you're an NBA guy. You're a Knicks guy. I just want to get your thoughts on this really quickly.
I'm a Heat guy. I grew up a Nets guy, but I'm a Heat guy.
My fault. The trade deadline's coming up.
Let's
talk. So we're talking. We haven't gotten your thoughts on this. Butler probably going to be traded for nothing. De'Aaron Fox now on the trade block as well. There's a couple interesting things that might happen in the NBA here. Are you at a point as a Heat guy where you're thinking good riddance, bring back anybody, just make sure I don't have to deal with it?
It's not good riddance. It's just get value for something. You know,
Well, you're
right
not
now
gonna get
before
value.
you
You're
throw
almost past
before
that
you
point.
throw the whole season away.
You're almost
the
past that
whole
point with Butler.
You can't move on in any way, shape, or form, either knowing if we're going to try to compete this year or if we're trying to compete next year. Everyone in the Heat is in an uncomfortable spot because they're the ones like trying to kick Jimmy on the way out. I think they're the ones that were like, just don't say anything. But they messed up. I don't want to say they should have known this was going to happen, but when he didn't get signed over the summer, it needed to be addressed. It needed to be addressed.
Do you think, are you remembering Jimmy for the negatives more than the positives now?
No, I mean, right now you're overwhelmed by that, but no. At the end of the day, and I hear this like Jimmy will never be allowed back and all that. I think
He's not getting his jersey retired.
The way Shaq or the way LeBron, it all ended ugly with Riley because Riley doesn't compromise. He does not compromise on his vision to keep the team competitive, and he shouldn't. And he's not scared, and he doesn't back down from agents, and he's not going to back down from players, and he doesn't allow leverage, and he doesn't let people walk in and say, "Oh, Eric Spoelstra shouldn't be the coach. We're 8-9," and he says, "Get out of my office, LeBron. Like I'll make that decision." That's who he is. And you think at 80 he's going to change?
No,
he's going to change at all.
For
No,
Jimmy,
I think Jimmy hurt himself way more than the Heat hurt themselves. The Heat weren't winning this year.
Steve, let me ask you this, too. Those guys you mentioned, Bron and Shaq, they won championships.
Jimmy played.
Okay.
Yep,
because
he played
that's my question.
He played in two championships for the Heat, who were and he truly, I don't say he lifted them on his shoulders.
No,
but
he did. Let's call it for what it is.
They got more out of him. They got more out of him than most people thought. He was not the superstar level that he I think ascended to until he got to the Heat.
He's a playoff riser.
And I know the end all be all to get your jersey retired isn't to win a championship. I just feel like it's a little different with that organization.
Well,
with
they didn't win.
That they
had.
right.
They did not win.
He's not getting that. He's not.
I don't think he does. Riley won't let it happen.
I'm not a Heat guy.
Riley won't
I
let it
understand
happen.
both sides. The positives that came from Jimmy's runs. You never won a championship, but this is an ugly exit nonetheless. One last thing here before we let you go. Adam Silver said on the Dan Patrick show earlier today that they're considering, or he was like, what about the idea of shortening the game to 10-minute quarters, similar to how the FIBA does it, how the international play does it? Is that something that entices you in terms of the fix of the NBA really quick?
No, not so much. Like I don't think the NBA game is too long. I think not enough stars play regularly in the NBA games. So 10 quarters, what does that mean? Does that mean that everyone's going to play every game? That's all I want to know from this. That's an immediate thing I think about.
But the root of the problem to you is the stars playing.
Yeah, I don't mind the root. There's not an issue to me that the stars are sitting too many minutes in the game, so let's shorten the games. Do you think that?
Well,
Does anyone talk about that? I don't think so.
I think mileage has something to do with that.
And for me, sorry, Kyle. For me, it's the style of play. 'Cause Steve, you coach basketball. That's not the That's not the basketball we had 10 years ago, right?
There are some tough things to watch in the NBA now. There are also some beautiful things to watch, like in the NBA now. But you got to watch it closely. You cut minutes out of the NBA game. The only thing that would matter to me, and by the way, I think probably the main reason would want to do that is, because ratings have had some challenges. If you make it a little bit shorter, maybe everything's a little bit more exciting. Stars play a couple more minutes. I see some of the concept of there, but I want definitive. I don't know why the NBA can't get this through with the Players Association, that if guys are healthy, they have to play. Because it's not only the Players Association, it's the teams. That if guys are healthy, they need to play. It's the only sport where we constantly have this debate. Do you hear do the Eagles just sit Saquon for 2 weeks in the middle of the season?
Do you make the regular season more important, make it 66 games?
I would be for shortening the regular season.
You'd be for that before you shorten the game.
Absolutely. I'd be for shortening the regular season before that.
You got to tell the owners to give up that money.
They're not going. No one wants to shorten the regular season, nor will the players, because the owners make less and the players make less.
But they're making
everyone have to agree.
And it didn't matter for the previous rights agreement, but at a certain point, they're going to have to address the failing ratings at the moment.
And these TV contracts are giant.
Steve, before we let you go here, tell us about what's going on at Duffy's.
Well, if you can't be in New Orleans for the big game, then you can be at Duffy's Sports Grill with 2 ways to score big on Sunday, February 9th. Duffy's Big Game Day Experience, starting at $25, includes a guaranteed front row seat, complimentary welcome drink, touchdown tots, official Duffy's swag, and more. Tailgating on your home turf. You should pre-order with Duffy's Game Day Eats and score double MVP points. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to learn more. And remember, at Duffy's, our game is always on. Your guys' game is on here tonight.
Yeah, we'll see at Pop Stroke. Steve, we
Great
appreciate
spot.
the time as always, and we look forward to talking next time.
Thanks.
That's Steve Politzino, the Good Karma Brands president, presented by Duffy's Sports Grill, also the Palm Beach Sports Commission Hall of Famer. We roll on here, got to do a little bit interesting second half of the program. I believe in the last 30 or so minutes, we'll have my father, Christopher Russo, joining us live from Pop Stroke, so it should be a good time. There we roll on here. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Anajar and Levine. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 106.3.
WUUB Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Hi, it's Luis Fonsi. What makes a performer truly legendary? How about being the #1 bestseller for 47 straight years? That's what Ford F-Series trucks have done every year since 1976. For generations, hard-working South Floridians have relied on Ford F-Series trucks to help grow businesses, communities, and families. A legacy of capability and technology. Ford trucks, perfect for South Florida. See your local Ford dealer today.
This is the Sports Business Minute presented by the FAU MBA in Sport Management Program. Mike Rizzo here. In our own backyard in Palm Beach Gardens, we have the TGL. Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy are big contributors to making the league what it is today. Tiger and Rory squared off against each other, with Tiger being on Jupiter Links and Rory being on Boston Commons Monday, January 27th. It was the best match that TGL has seen so far, with Jupiter Links Golf Club led by Tiger beating Boston Commons led by Rory 4-3 in overtime. The season runs through March 25th. The winning team will get $21 million to split up between the players. This is the Sports Business Minute presented by the FAU MBA in Sport Management Program. Accelerate your career in sports with the program committed to developing top-notch executives and managers with a focus on the job placement for students and graduates. The FAU MBA in Sport Management Program.
Hey, Steph Prince here, General Manager of ESPN West Palm, to tell you about a team that has meant a lot to me and this community for a long time. Bob and the team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning have been helping me stay cool for years, whether at home or in the office. And living in South Florida with 3 kids, I don't know what I'd do without them. Family owned and operated, serving Royal Palm Beach and beyond since 1980. Let the knowledgeable and trained team at Bradley help you with your residential and commercial needs, installation, repair, seasonal maintenance, upgrades of all makes and styles and models of HVAC equipment, and so much more. Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning does things right the first time and makes the process smooth, stress-free, and most importantly, keeps you cool. Give them a call at 561-793-7497. That's 561-793-7497 or bradleyair.com. Any need, big or small, trust the amazing team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning.
At St. Lucie Battery and Tire, batteries came before tires. We've been selling and servicing all types of batteries for over 50 years. So when you need a battery for nearly anything, we have it, as well as the fast professional installation you need. We carry premium batteries for all your needs: automotive, commercial, marine, RV, and specialty. We also offer delivery and on-site installation, serving our customers quality products for over 50 years in the home of honest, reliable service. Go to slbt.com and book your next appointment.
The all-new 2025 Range Rover Evoque, where bold design meets refined luxury. Ready to elevate your drive? With 3.9% APR for 60 months, it's the perfect time to make your move. For well-qualified buyers, that means payments as low as $1,837 a month per $1,000 financed. Visit your Land Rover Palm Beach off Okeechobee Boulevard, or head over to LandRoverPalmBeach.com and experience the 2025 Range Rover Evoque today.
Do you think Bill Belichick ever listens on Sportsmanlike? I mean, we know he's a man of few words, but he has to appreciate my quarterback rules, right? I bet he's been in the office watching game film, and then bam, my voice comes on. He's probably just thinking, oh, that Cohen guy is so smart. We're practically best friends.
Now at DQ Grill and Chill, enjoy $7 meal deals. The 3-piece chicken strip meal deal and the original cheeseburger meal deal. Both come with fries, a 21-ounce drink, and a sundae. Sweeten the deal and upgrade to a small Blizzard treat for just $2 extra. Get more for less at DQ Grill and Chill with the $7 chicken strip meal deal and $7 original cheeseburger meal deal. DQ Grill and Chill with 2 locations, 4828 Lake Worth Road and US 1 just south of North Lake.
What's the Anajar and Levine difference? When you're injured in a car crash, we focus on your case so you can focus on the one thing that matters most, getting better. I'm Glenn Levine with Anajar and Levine. We'll fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call our legal team right now for a free consultation, 1-800-747-FREE. We'll help you take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
In office, West Palm Beach.
Is racking up tens of thousands of dollars in student loan debt really worth the 4-year degree? Not a lot of people think so anymore. A recent Wall Street Journal poll found that 56% of us believe that a skills-based education, that's a smarter investment than a 4-year degree. So why waste that time and money when there's an alternative right here in North Palm Beach that teaches skills that people can actually use in today's world, and you can get those skills in just months, not years. I'm talking about CSB Media Arts Center in North Palm Beach, the home to Connecticut School of Broadcasting, which provides hands-on training in audio and video production, podcasting, sports broadcasting, social media marketing, filmmaking, coding, and so much more. For over 60 years, CSB has placed thousands of graduates in careers. Take a moment and visit GoCSB.com to schedule a tour. That's GoCSB.com.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
All into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
Second hour of Russo and Rizzo here, live at Pop Stroke, a beautiful Wednesday early evening, late afternoon. It's Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat with you on ESPN 106.3. Steve Palatiner just joined the program. We'll hear from my father, Christopher Russo, live on site in just about 20 minutes. Packed program. It's a beautiful area, this Pop Stroke. They got the luxurious mini golf side. They got bars. They got restaurants. They got everything you need. It's a wonderful time we are having outdoors here with probably as good of weather as you could possibly ask for. You got the championship games over and through and done with. You got the Super Bowl coming up. You got the NBA trade deadline looming here. We'll get into that in just a minute. No better time to get started over on Hard Rock Bet.
No, and they got your betting needs covered, folks. That is Hard Rock Bet. We got a ton of NBA games, huge NBA slate. Head on over to that Discover tab and see what's popping with the popular parlays. And you know me, folks. I am a college football junkie. I'm already looking at the futures. I'm already looking at the future bets for the college football championship. You do that with me on the Hard Rock Bet app. And not to mention the Super Bowl, the player props. Get in on the action with the Hard Rock Bet app offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 and physically present in the state of Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. That is 1-888-ADMIT-IT, the Hard Rock Bet app.
Speaking of phone numbers, 888-760-3776, the number to get into the program. That's 888-760-3776. We shift to the phone lines and get a hold of Cologne, New Jersey. You're on Russo and Rizzo. Cologne, what do you got for us?
Hey, guys, how you doing? Hey, a couple things. Know, on the Brady thing, on Sunday's game, Nance and Rowan did a good job explaining that, on certain plays, the Bills like to go to the left side and to the right, so they talk to all the coaches and the players. Brady cannot do that. He cannot talk to any players. He cannot talk to coaches, coordinators. He can't even watch a practice. So to me, he's going to have his job. So to me, he's one and done, and I think he's going to leave the booth after this year. That's my.
What else?
On the three-peat.
We lost Cologne there.
Back in 07. Johnny, on the three-peat. Back in 07, when Brady was going for undefeated season, he was going to be the GOAT because he will have won 4 championships, surpassed Joe Montana because he had done undefeated season. He loses that championship. That GOAT thing doesn't come back to the conversation. Ends right there until 10 years later when he beats Atlanta for his fifth. So to me, this three-peat is great. If Mahomes doesn't get it, I think this gold company goes away for a while. After maybe wins in the fourth or fifth or something, or maybe even in sixth.
All right. Appreciate the call, Cologne.
Thanks, Cologne.
Cologne's on the page that if Mahomes needs to get his fourth, fifth, and or sixth Super Bowl in order to contend with Brady, I tend to agree. Brady's got the untouchable Super Bowl record, and we now know that if you have a great quarterback, you're going to be right in the thick of things. So and Mahomes is going to need to get to there. And he also said there's something interesting, too, about how Romo and Nance could talk about how the Bills, it was in the Chiefs' game plan to prepare for the Bills' quarterback sneaks on fourth and short situations where they go over the left guard. They made that abundantly clear in the second quarter when they didn't get the two-point conversion. It came up multiple times throughout the game, especially in the fourth quarter when they didn't get it because Allen kept going over the left guard. And Cologne's point, which I agree with, is Romo and Nance can say that because they have access to the coaches. They could talk about game plans. There's an objectivity to their job. Brady cannot do that. Brady doesn't get the access in practice, or can't talk about strategy as in-depth comparatively to some of the other ones, and maybe you're losing something from the broadcast with him not doing that.
Yeah, and Tom Brady, you have Brady on the broadcast even because of the owner stuff, because he's Tom Brady. We talked about this earlier in the show. He can't prepare properly. Like, Colin, that's a big thing in our business is to talk to the coaches, talk to the players, figure out the storylines, the vibe of the locker room. He's got to rely on other people for that kind of stuff. Now, I wonder if his partner shares it, if he's even allowed to share that kind of information with them. I think Brady should focus on being an owner. I understand. Who am I to tell Tom Brady to forfeit the $38 million? This is money I could never even dream of. But if you're going to be an owner, embrace that. If you're going to go on the side of owning a football team, I think you should embrace that role. That's my 2 cents. Does he really need $38 million? Probably not. That's my 2 cents.
You can't. It's hard to tell a guy that he doesn't need the $300 million.
I'm contradicting myself.
It's hard to tell a guy that.
Colin, I'm contradicting myself at every turn.
It's hard to tell a guy that.
Who am I to tell a guy? But at the same time, Tom, do you really need the cash?
Probably not.
Go be an owner, and I guess I'm hungry.
Something to do.
Can you tell him hungry? I'm thinking about shrimp cocktail. All right, let's get it. Go eat shrimp cocktail with Mark Davis and be a fancy pants owner.
That's Mike Rizzo on Tom Brady. It's Russo and Rizzo live from Pop Stroke on ESPN 106.3. Another thing that's coming up that we got to touch on a little bit is the NBA trade deadline looming here. We've talked about Jimmy Butler with Steve Politziner. De'Aaron Fox.
How about that?
A star for the Kings who has really blossomed in the last 4 or 5 years when the Kings have finally ascended into a bit of relevance, not having a great year this year. But the Kings, De'Aaron Fox wants out. And no, it's not like the stars requesting trades of old where I want to go play with Durant in Phoenix, or I want to go play with LeBron with the Lakers. I want to go play with Curry on the Warriors. I want to go play on the Knicks. It's not like that. De'Aaron Fox requests a trade and says, I want to go play with Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs, according to Shams Charania. So maybe a step forward on if the Kings are willing to adhere to that. I mean, you got to feel for the Kings fan at this point.
Right.
You finally get a guy you can hatch the franchise with.
Let me ask. Can you take that serious?
Can you take what serious?
Can you take him requesting the specific team he wants to go to and requesting for a trade? I can't take that serious. Do you really like? You trade a guy because you trade a guy somewhere because it's the best situation.
It's not foreign in the NFL to say I want to be traded to.
But here's the thing: if the Spurs are going to lowball the Kings, guess what? You're not playing with Victor Wembanyama. You're under contract, young man. You'll go where we trade you. You'll go where the best deal is for the Sacramento Kings. If you don't want to be a King, fine.
He's up for a free agency contract in 2026, so he could also. There's the power with the players that I'm not going to sign. Why give up the? Why give up the assets to do that?
Power of the players, Kyle.
And
that's that league, brother. That's that league.
Want him. The Spurs are going to want him. I mean, yeah, they're going to put together a package to make it work because why would they want him?
Who are you? Now, like you said, feel bad for the King fan. De'Aaron Fox, in my opinion, a top 15, 20 player in the league, and it seemed like he wanted to be there. Now he doesn't want to be there. What are you putting together? What are you giving him? Castle? And I'm high on Castle. They have young players. They've had lottery picks. The only player I would trade De'Aaron Fox for would be Wembanyama.
Well, the only thing is you got to make it work financially, and you also probably got to get a third team involved. So you're not going to go straight up Kings and Spurs giving each other assets.
You hear what I'm saying, though, partner. Like the player of De'Aaron Fox's stature on the Spurs right now is Wembanyama. Obviously, they're not trading him. So what are you going to get? You're going to accept a low ball deal and a high ceiling young player?
Well, hold on. It's also getting value out of it. If he's not going to re-sign in 2026,
you're banking on an unknown. That's the point I'm trying to make. I think, and I know that's
What's
how
the
it is.
unknown?
An unknown is a young player and hoping he turns into something. And
I guess,
you already have a proven commodity in Fox.
Stars rarely get traded
stars
for stars. It rarely happens.
That's why I can't stand the NBA anymore. You're under contract, man. Then a year ago, or 2 years ago, you're waxing poetically on how you love being in Sacramento. You had a great series against Golden State a few years back, 2 years in a row, and now you want out. You're making money. You're under contract, young man, and you're going
to. To his credit, he's not saying he's not going to play. He's not pulling a Jimmy Butler.
But still, it's a distraction.
He requested a trade.
These guys
are allowed to request trades. I'm not saying he's not forcing himself. He requested a trade, and he said, "I'd like to play here." If this is not Jimmy Butler, I don't.
Wait, so
who are these guys never supposed to request trades? What do we say to the NFL guys?
Are the Spurs Santa Claus? Or sorry, is the Sacramento Kings Santa Claus? He's got a wish list. He wants to go here. What does he want a brand new PlayStation as well?
Well, it doesn't mean they're adhere to it. But what is he supposed to say?
Trade
me anywhere?
And I
trade
guess,
me to one of the.
Colin, I guess my frustration with the league is really starting to carry into the conversation. I can't even talk about it.
This is not the first trade deadline the NBA's ever seen with a star on the line.
Sure. I guess I feel bad for the Sacramento fan who's a low market team. You finally they finally hit a home run on a player. You finally get a good player in De'Aaron Fox. You got him under contract for a couple of years, and now he wants out. And now where he's got a team he wants to go to, a wish list. And back to what I said about my frustration getting in about the NBA, I can't even talk about the Jimmy Butler stuff anymore. I am so frustrated with that. And the league and the way the game is being played. The NBA was my favorite league. It was my favorite league my entire life until about 5 years ago.
So you have a problem with how Jimmy Butler's handling this. So therefore, we're now mad at De'Aaron Fox.
I think
requesting a trade.
I think it's in bad form to give someone exactly where you want to go, and
that's good faith.
Listen,
that's good faith.
But he's the face of the franchise too. Where do they go from here? If they get rid of De'Aaron Fox, the Kings turn into a lottery team, and they got to start all over yet again for the 15th time.
Well, how about, would you say this, that the Kings maybe gave everybody their best shot? They were the second seed in the Western Conference. You think they gave everybody their best shot in that year they lost to Golden State? And now maybe this is not working. I'm not saying they need to reset everything, but they need to rebrand it in a sense.
And Colin, Fox is a Kentucky kid. I like Fox. I guess I'm more mad at the way and the state of the NBA rather than the player. To your point, they do it all the time. So who am I to?
First guy
they do it all the time.
Durant
but it doesn't mean I gotta like
does it. I mean,
it doesn't mean I gotta like it. I feel for the Sacramento fan. I feel for the small market team. He could get the most money with the Sacramento, by the way.
Anthony Davis did it.
Yeah.
So all these guys request to go somewhere, and then the team makes it work. It's a star-driven league. That's what happens.
You don't think it's petty that he said he wants to go to a specific place?
But he's going to the Spurs. He's not going. He's not going.
A specific place and a specific player.
All right. You know what I think? If I think he said I want to go to Cleveland, I think he'd have a different tune about this. Yeah, he would. So
we don't need a guard. I point proven. Listen, point proven.
He's not. But I understand that. Wembanyama's a unicorn.
You know how biased. You know how biased I am with my teams. From an unbiased perspective, if he said Cleveland, I feel like people out there would have the same take that I'm having. Of this is what it is now. This is what it is.
Now, one thing I'll give him credit for is he's looking to go somewhere and build something. He's not looking to go somewhere that's necessarily
What happens when he wants out of San Antonio?
That's neither here nor there. But he's not going somewhere that's an established, proven winner. He's going somewhere that's trending upward, and he's going somewhere to try to take them over the top. The Spurs should pounce on this. The Spurs should absolutely pounce on this.
You mentioned the deal. You mentioned I do. De'Aaron Fox, I think, top 10 maybe at his position, top 20 in the NBA. When I know he's having a down year. You mentioned the trade. You're good with these NBA trades. You need a third team. You need money. You need someone to take on salary cap.
Now,
this is a whole process.
Wembanyama's not under extension yet. He's not under contract. So you're not investing a ton of money into him yet. But you're going to need to sign Fox, and then you're going to need to give Wembanyama a nice fat extension because you're looking at a all NBA player in Wembanyama. So that's going to be tricky to do that.
And forgive me for thinking too, Kyle, you're going to have to give up a Castle and a couple other lottery picks that you've hit on, and that's what you got to do. You got to get rid of your unknown, your potential to get a proven commodity.
Or you get another team that's trying to dump a contract or dump a player that is good, that doesn't necessarily want to be there. You get them involved in the trade, and all of a sudden you can get that team happy. Send Jimmy Butler right over there to Sacramento. See how he enjoys it hanging out with the Oakland A's players at the local dive. I mean,
him and Severino.
Him and Severino and Brent Rooker hanging out at the local dive with Sabonis.
See how much he hated Miami.
Yeah, see how much he hated Miami.
Yeah, this isn't Club 11, Jimmy. You're not
108 degrees in Sacramento in the valley.
You're not this isn't Club 11 in Miami, partner. You're
hanging
a long way.
The San Jose Sharks players.
The Miami Strip. You're a long way away.
So maybe you make something work there, and you give up less than you think you get back.
You don't have a problem with it, though. I kind of it's
a different tune.
It's petty.
I'm used to it. It's a different tune than Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is being a phony about it because he is sitting out. Fox, at the very least, as somebody who is fairly available. He's a good player. He's a young player. He's a likable player, and that franchise stinks. And all of a sudden, it's a good fan base.
Yeah.
But you don't want to go there anymore. And if you want to tell the team, instead of walking in free agency, if he told the team, I'm not re-signing in 2026, they're going to try to trade him anyway. So at this point, maybe he's trying to get ahead on it, and maybe he's trying to make something happen in terms of, all right, well, you could get some value out of me, and I want to go somewhere, and you could get some value out of me before I walk. A la, Paul George.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something to that.
The wish list stuff cracks me up, though.
It'll
always crack.
Star-driven.
Partner, it'll always crack me up. You know what? If Santa's listening, Colin, you want to know what's on my wish list? Courtside seats to see your Huskies with you. If Santa's listening, I want UConn courtside seats for my partner and I.
You got to sit near Hurley. That's the goal.
Yeah.
You got to sit near Hurley Sr. and then see Dan Hurley going crazy. But I don't know. I agree. To the tune of the NBA in a grand scope, yeah, it's annoying that these guys can wish list themselves into teams. But there's also NFL guys who can't do it specifically to that, but can also say,
sure,
I want to go to a contending team. I want to go to a team that's going to utilize my talents. There's something to that as well. It happens in the league because it's star-driven.
You mentioned Fox. Now, is there, in your mind, Colin, is there any other team that really needs to go get a star to make some noise? Now, you want to know the team that has surprised me and that I think can be interesting at the deadline. The Houston Rockets have a lot of young talent. Do they maybe use some of and they're number 2 in the West. I'm not necessarily saying they need to make a move.
They played great. They've won like 10 of 11.
Do you think maybe they go out and get I guess a Jimmy Butler. I guess the two guys are Butler and Fox, but do they make moves to improve their roster? Does a Boston Celtic team make a move to improve their roster? The Cavaliers, the Knicks, do any of these top-end teams do anything to go help their playoff
Rockets
runs
makes a lot of sense because the Rockets have a lot of young talent, and if they're going to want to compete, they're probably going to need a proven veteran in that. They have Van Vliet, but they're going to need probably another piece to that puzzle, and they have a lot of young talent, but also – that team is also 20 games over 500. They have had an outstanding season.
And how about that, Colin? A team that has been in the lottery for what? The better half of 10, 11 years?
And
they finally got their young players.
And they got
and
Amen Thompson is the guy who they got 4th overall from the G League, one of the twins, and he has been playing fantastic. Jalen Green is either a great player or a bad player. I took that over 43.5, by the way.
For Houston? That was you're gonna.
I'm gonna get that by.
Check, please.
I'm gonna get that by Valentine's Day.
Check, please. You're gonna get the Cavalier one too.
Yeah,
you made some good. How about you?
Grizzlies too.
Look at you.
Grizzlies are 3rd in the Western
Conference. My God.
And the Sixers under.
I'll tell you what. I'm tailing next year. Hey, listen, download that Hard Rock Bet app because we're going to tail Colin on his
and the over-unders. I'm going to go a healthy 4-0.
Hey, listen, I don't want to get out of myself. We're in January. Pitchers and catchers haven't even reported yet. But you got to keep me updated on your baseball.
Oh, yeah. I had a decent year.
Yeah, you got to keep me updated on your baseball.
I wasn't great. I took the Cardinals under, which I hit. You know what I took? I got nailed on? Was the Reds over. I thought the Reds would be better.
Well, they got Tito this year.
Yeah, I'm not going back to the Reds. Yeah, I know. I'm not going back to the Reds.
You're not going back to the well? You're not going back to the big red machine?
I got the Mariners 2 years in a row, which was nice. But I took the Orioles the first year. They broke out. That was an easy one. But, yeah, that's neither here nor there. We'll do that eventually. But the NBA over-unders I've nailed. But if you're talking about a team that needs to make a move, the one that has the assets to do so, Houston Rockets probably up near the top of the list. And people keep mentioning Memphis. Memphis doesn't need Fox. They could use Butler, but they don't need Fox.
Yep.
So I'm curious to see how they handle that.
What about the Knicks? They're interesting, right?
Yeah, they made their
Knicks are
trade. They
interesting.
made their trade. They
With
made their
Cat-
trade.
the
They're
Cat-
Cat. They don't have the assets to do that.
Right.
They got Bridges in the mix, and they got Anthony Towns in the
And
mix. Both of which, now, great trades.
Mhm.
I don't want to hear the Knick fan complaining about no Julius Randle. How is he fitting in with Minnesota? They've stunk.
Yeah.
So Julius Randle, getting rid of him, and DiVincenzo hasn't blossomed either. So getting Karl-Anthony Towns, you get those guys so you can compete with the Bostons and the Clevelands of the Eastern Conference. That's why you do that.
And Edwards,
in hindsight, great trade.
And Edwards, I think he's struggling a little bit with double teams. You know, he came out and talked about specifically getting double teamed and how he doesn't want to do it his whole life.
He spread the floor.
And they're missing that tremendously.
Randle does not do that. Randle's a back to the basket and mid-range guy.
I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people that was kind of critical of the Cat trade at the time. I didn't know how he'd fit in the New York style with the Thibodeau hard nose. Is he going to be able? We've heard rumors about him being soft from Jimmy Butler. You know, so we kind of I wasn't sure, but it certainly have worked out. And quickly, this isn't me being a homer. I feel like I got to say this every time I talk about my teams. Is Cleveland going to add a 3? Are they going to add somebody that could guard Jaylen Brown? And Jason Tatum. I feel like that's the one position that they're missing.
Yeah,
they're probably missing that 3. They're missing that 3 that's going to be able to go out and guard on the defender. And their best perimeter defender, Okoro, has been hurt. So, and to your point, they lost 3 in a row, something they haven't done all year. They lost 3 in a row and then got a win against the Pistons.
It was that win against the Rockets game. What was that, 2 weeks ago?
They lost twice.
Yeah,
they lost twice
and
to
they
the
got killed
Rockets.
the second time.
Yes.
The first game was a great game. But it was that game that kind of spiraled them out. Now they're hanging around 500 the last 10 games. But interestingly enough, I don't know. Live here at Pop Stroke, I got to bring this up because Cade Shumslin, who is one of our
it threw me off.
here,
It threw
there's
me
a
off.
ping pong table right in front of us over here. We're on the deck here at Pop Stroke, having a good time. And these 2 gentlemen are playing ping pong right in front of us. The ball, there's a gated little walk-up where the stairs are, and it's almost like a walk, like a handicap railing. You know, what is it? What do they call it? The slant?
Yeah,
walk-up
I mean,
thing?
it's a guardrail. It's what it is, a damn guardrail.
It's for It's for handicap usage because the stairs, whatever. It's one of those with the fences. These guys are playing ping pong, and the ball flies through the fencing, and it goes down, so you have to go all the way around to go down it, the whole thing. Cade, who's about 6'11", and just decides to grab the railing, and not even his ping pong ball. He's not even involved in the situation. And just vaults it like he's in parkour. It's very bizarre. It's right in front of us. It really did throw me off.
It threw me off. But listen, like
he's trying to be a superhero.
You want to know what
that
was, partner? That wasn't the first time I've been thrown off today. Steve taking your picture with your dad in the background threw me off earlier too when we had him on.
Is that what he was doing?
Yeah, your dad was in the back
on the TV.
Both of us turned around. We're like, what the hell is he taking a picture?
Very bizarre.
I take pride in not getting thrown off around the air. That's twice now. 3 strikes and they say you're out.
Yeah, Cade was
I don't make the rules.
Vaulting the fence. Very strange.
I don't make the rules, mate.
Not sure what Cade was doing then, but interestingly enough, I don't know. We got to roll on here. We'll take a quick timeout, and maybe on the other side of things, maybe my dad shows up, maybe he doesn't. Who knows? We'll roll on here. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
The South Florida Fair is open. 17 days of entertainment, including the thrilling Royal Spectacular Show, live music, a new Adventureland, and farm animals in the Kubota Ag Zone, a historic village, and of course, rides, games, and delicious fair food.
Check all the activities and entertainment schedule online at southfloridafair.com or download the Fair app. Now through February 2nd in West Palm Beach.
Hey y'all, it's C-Cat. You want to know my secret to losing 17 pounds in my first 28 days? It's Metrum MD in Palm Beach Gardens. This is medical weight loss, not a cookie-cutter program. Doctors and experts design a plan just for you. They even handpick food and supplements that cut hunger, burn fat, and keep you energized. I'm losing weight fast enough to stay motivated, and I'm not hungry. The best part, this place is packed because the results are real like mine. I lost 17 pounds in just 28 days. Don't wait. Visit Metrum MD in Palm Beach Gardens or go to MetrumMD.com. That's M-E-T, the word trim, MD.com. You'll thank me later. later.
ESPN West Palm is highlighting the best performance of the week, presented by Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Every week, a different team will be featured across ESPN 106.3 and ESPN West Palm Play. The winning performance receives $500, courtesy of Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Do you know a team, player, or school with a killer performance? Nominate them by emailing highschool@espnwestpalm.com. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Go where the pros go.
The Club at Lost Lake, a championship Fazio design golf course in Hope Sound. Golf and social memberships are now available with no waiting list and immediate access. The course and club will see over $10 million in capital improvements and is one of the best private club values in the area. Experience the beauty and challenge of this renowned course for yourself. Enjoy year-round access to exclusive amenities and events. Visit clublostlake.com to schedule a visit today. Don't miss out on this incredible course. And please, putt responsibly.
Huddle up this season at Hurricane Grill and Wings, where every day is game day. We're serving up the flavors you crave, from our refreshing new cocktails to our famous wings that are always better with Pepsi. Visit hurricanewings.com to find a restaurant nearest you.
Roll with Hard Rock Bet for Big Game 59, because we're rolling out over $5.9 million in bonus bets. The big game kicks off Sunday in New Orleans, but get your share of Big Easy bonus bets now, so you can place more bets on us instead of using your own cash. It's the big game rollout. $5.9 million in promos, only on Hard Rock Bet. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Hey golf fans, Colin Russo here. Looking to improve your game? Flagstick Golf Performance, the ultimate indoor golf experience, is now open in Boynton Beach. With 3 indoor simulators and a state-of-the-art putting studio, Flagstick helps players at all levels up their game. Get lessons from experts, try the latest clubs, or just come up for a round on the simulators. You can track your stats and see real improvement. Flagstick is where serious golfers and beginners find their edge. Bring your friends or family and enjoy golf like never before. Visit flagstickgolfperformance.com to book your session.
Hi, I'm Scott Smith with Smith Ball Baez and Prather, Florida Injury Lawyers. As you have likely seen and heard, law firm advertising is at an all-time high. Attorney ads seem to be part of every radio and TV commercial segment. Some firms are even using paid actors and actresses to speak for them. At Smith Ball Baez and Prather, we know that the decision to hire a law firm should never be based on advertisements alone. It is our past results and many positive 5-star reviews that we encourage you to read at smithball.com to learn more about our law firm. We have board-certified lawyers. We have lawyers listed in the best lawyers in America and in super lawyers. But most importantly, we have experienced lawyers located right here in Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast that are ready to be your advocate and your voice, and fully prepared to start fighting for your legal rights today. Our purpose, legal power. Our mission, huge results. If you've been injured, the lawyers at Smith Ball Baez and Prather will help. Call us at 500-HELP, 500-HELP. With Smith Ball Baez and Prather, help is just a local phone call away. Offices Palm Beach Gardens, Boca Raton, and Port St. Lucie.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
It's time. The weather here is getting nicer. It's almost baseball season, baby. It's time for baseball in West Palm Beach. Spring training just around the corner, and Cacti Park of the Palm Beaches is the place to be. I got Hal Steinbrenner talking about how the Dodgers spending too much money is hard to keep up with. Nice job, Hal. All right. Ha ha. The Yankees are getting priced out. Color me surprised. Hal Steinbrenner being cheap. But grab your family and friends and soak in the sunshine, green grass, and the crack of the bat. You can watch the Houston Astros, the Washington Nationals. They're taking on the likes of the aforementioned New York Yankees, the Mets, the Braves. First time ever, the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be coming into town. Catch the excitement from February 22nd through March 23rd. Tickets are on sale now at cactipark.com. Don't miss your chance to be a part of the action. Secure your seat today. Well, Christopher Russo, once again, is late to the program, so we will roll on it. We got to talk about what we have to improve upon. So in the meantime, while we wait over at Pop Stroke on Russo and Rizzo, we'll do a little better than yesterday.
Flagstick Golf Performance presents Better Than Yesterday.
Our football team was like the kid that plays second French horn in the school band. We got to play better.
Yesterday's me folded one shirt. Today's me might finish the laundry. Maybe. How will you be better than yesterday?
Better Than Yesterday, presented by Flagstick Golf Performance. It's really the ultimate indoor golf experience. It's in Boynton Beach. It's finally open. Go check it out. It's got a unique facility, 3 state-of-the-art indoor simulators, plus a putting studio on site as well. If you want to get fitted, change up your grips, change up your heads, change up the length, get new clubs, Flagstick Golf Performance has you covered. Andy and his team work with players of all levels, including Christian Cat. We'll get into that in a second, who want to improve their game. Take lessons, use the technology, go get fitted, go even just test it out. It's located in Boynton Beach. They offer memberships, daily access. You can go visit them in person, find out all the info you need at flagstickgolfperformance.com, or check out their Instagram, Flagstick Golf Performance. Speaking of fittings, Christian Cat, it's to my knowledge that you went and got fitted over at Flagstick the other day. What happened?
Oh, yeah, baby. I mean, it's like my second home there at Flagstick Golf. I'm surprised Andy doesn't kick me out because I spend too much time there. But yeah, I'm getting fitted for some irons, and between 2 right now, some Strixons and some Mizunos. Don't know which one is absolutely perfect, but I know Andy will steer me in the right direction. So I'm excited to get my fitting completed at Flagstick Golf.
So, did you have old irons? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I had a starter set. You know, like when you start the game of golf, you're not going to go for the most high dollar. You don't even know what your swing looks like. So I went with the basic, and now that I know who I am in the golf game, I actually have something I can adjust upon, what works for me. Andy knows my golf swing better than I know my golf swing. So yeah, new irons on the way.
New irons on the way. All right, let's do a little better than yesterday, where we have to reflect on what we need to be better on. Christian, since you were speaking, if you're ready to rock and roll, do you got something you need to improve upon?
Yeah, I certainly do. And I brought this up earlier today on Theoretically Speaking with Theo Dorsey every day from 2 to 4. Whenever I bring up a story, when I get home to my wonderful long-term girlfriend, and that story involves a stranger who is a woman, I always use a gender-neutral pronoun. I don't say she or her. I say them. Why is it that I'm dancing around the fact that I interacted with a woman who is not my girlfriend or a family member? Why do I do that? Because she immediately diagnoses the fact that I'm dancing around that it is a woman who I'm talking to, and it really just delays the inevitable man or woman. And then I gotta fess up.
If you getting yelled at.
Yeah.
So the they in this situation has turned into the she in your storytelling.
Yes, I helped out a foreign woman pump gas the other night right outside my apartment, the closest gas station.
What are you dancing around with? What are you afraid of?
I don't know what I'm afraid of. Maybe I'm afraid of my girlfriend. I don't I don't want her to ask questions about her looks, about why are you helping her out for? I just wanted it to be a story of how good of a person I am, whether it was a man or a woman. I was there to save the day. They didn't know what diesel gas was. They happened to drive the same exact car as me, so I said, hey, I can help you out. Look, I pointed at my car.
Wow.
Nice, Christian.
They were filling up with diesel?
They didn't know.
Okay.
Did they ruin the car?
No, they almost did. They didn't know what gas to pay for, so they asked for my help, and I helped them out. But when I told the story, I said they with a big accent, not she had a big accent.
I see.
There's your good karma for the day. All right, things I need to get better at. I need to get better at understanding the restaurant scene in West Palm Beach. Parents in town, which means I'm on restaurant duty, which also means that I need to make sure I'm on my game and choosing good restaurants to go to. Because I will catch a stern talking to if I screw that up in any sense. So I'm 2-0 so far, I think, but I'm really relying on other people's opinions. So I just don't really have much of a grasp of the restaurant scene, whether that's on the island, whether that's in West Palm, Boynton Beach, Jupiter, Palm Beach Gardens, whatever it may be. 2-0 off of the recommendations of other people. That's something I need to get better at, is understanding the restaurant scene.
I need to get better at getting up in the morning and working out, Colin, because right now it's coming to the point where I'm working out after work, and I did it this morning. So I'm already ahead of schedule there. But boys, I explained this to Christian. I think today or yesterday, these days are jumbling together. I haven't had to been a morning person for about 5 or 6 years. Since my time in Cleveland when I had to get up early to help my father out with RBS, with his show, The Really Big Show. And when I say wake up early, I don't sleep in past 8:30, but I'll wake up at 8 or 8:30, and then shower and go into work. I need to start getting up at 6 and working out.
Oh.
And I'm really struggling to do it. And honest to God, brother, you have motivated me to do it.
What time
because
do you go to
not only that's the problem, brother.
Right.
That's
the chicken
the problem.
or the egg, Mike. Which
Because
comes
I am such a night owl because I want to watch my shows. I want to be able to play my Dynasty. I want to play some games. I want to watch a game, a late game or whatever it may be. So I need to start going to bed early. I need to start rising earlier. And I need to get in the gym around 7:15 because I know once I get into the process of doing it, I can do it.
So you need to get better at waking up in the morning. Do you turn off the alarm?
No, my alarm.
Hold on, you don't even set the alarm.
I set it this morning and I woke up. I can't. And then tomorrow, I have obligations with the station partner. I got to be up at 5:30.
For what?
I got to go to the breakfast at the convention center, and then we got to set up the.
That's at 5:30.
Well, I got to be there at 7.
It starts at 7?
Starts at 7. Well, I have to be there at 7 to set up our stuff, and then walk on over at 7:30 to meet Stephanie Prince, our general manager, and Jess Welke, our TA.
You'll enjoy that. I think I'm second half. I think that's what
Yeah, you are. You are. You're second half.
Colin, I got a question for you. Have you ever really messed up when You're Better Than Yesterday was kind of figuring out how to recommend and entertain your family or people that are in town with a restaurant? You ever really messed up with one of those? It is
absolutely,
the worst.
because, and especially when they would visit me in college, because my thinking is, I went to school in Madison, Wisconsin, which is a bunch of bars, and some more bars. So when my parents come into town, and they like to have a drink or two, but they're not going to go in and get a boot and start going to town. So when I send them to basically a beer hall that is loud and that is the allure is around drinking beer more so than the quality of the meal, that's where I get burned. And then I get burned, and they read it to me how much I do get burned before we're even out of there. The poor waitress is taking the order. And they're telling me, and my dad is sitting there like, why are we here? Why are you doing this to us? And I'm like, Dad, they're taking your order. How about you just order the cheeseburger and move on? It's like, you stuck us. You burned us here, Colin. So that's the type of situations that I get burned at. But you're right. It does put you in a tough situation.
See,
when
it seems like the Russo is a little more vocal and not passive-aggressive when someone lets them down on a restaurant recommendation. It's passive-aggressive with
silent
me.
Judgment?
Yeah, where I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs, just punishing myself for this stupid sushi restaurant that I recommended to bring my dad to last time. This is a meat and potatoes, no nonsense, nothing exotic. He would go perfectly.
See, he would have loved the beer
steak.
hall.
Yeah, he probably would have. But when I take him to this noodle place, he did not like it, and I felt like a bum. Oh, I felt like such a bum.
Colin, It's surprising me you mess up a restaurant. Brother, we're good with food, man. The food's our thing.
Hold on. No, it's just Madison, Wisconsin. That's what it is. I think it's going to be a fun
college,
time. I'm in college. Let's go to a bar and let's go have a good time. And they're okay with it. But I've got, my dad likes to bust my chops when it regards to that. And so does my mom to a degree. So they're busting my chops and giving me a hard time on that. So that doesn't happen all the time.
Right.
But I remember times when I was in college where I would get burned because it's a little too college bar.
Yeah, a little too fratty.
Hey, they're not going and ordering a boot, so that's the problem. So,
all right. This is a second. What is a boot? What's a boot?
You don't know what a boot is? You never seen a beer boot?
Nope.
You got to get to Madison, Wisconsin. Hey, Christian, you've seen a beer boot, right?
I assume it's a big glass for beer that is shaped like a boot.
It's as big as your leg. It's as big as it's knee down. It's as big as knee down.
Fair enough. The only reason I asked for context is because I don't think a lot of our listeners know what the hell this boot is. If I didn't, I don't think. No, you're good. A beer tower. It's like a beer tower.
Sure, but you drink out of it. And the idea, it's like a German house.
Maybe people do. Maybe I'm the ignorant one.
No, but they do it in German lager places where they just fill up this boot and imagine you're knee down. And even in terms of like the actual size, and they fill it up completely with beer. So that is what goes wrong, because that's not their style.
I see.
Speaking of style, as they walk in here fashionably late, which is funny because I was under the impression that my parents were going to join us here at Pop Stroke, around half after 5. But here they come strolling in, and it's about 10 before 6, giving us a tough spot here. So Christopher Russo, put on a headset. How about you join us here on Russo and Rizzo?
Yes. Who are you?
What's going on? Welcome to the program, by the way.
Hello, Michael.
Hey, good to
How
see
are
you.
You
Good
do a
to
hell of
see
a
you.
job. I don't know who the guy is. It's Mike Rizzo with Colin Russo. Is that what it is?
No.
You got some nerve coming in talking like this, because you come in and I say, hey, Dad, how's 5:30 sound? And he goes, it sounds great. And then all of a sudden, 5:50.
Who is right there? Who is there?
Oh, so now you're shifting
blaming
blame.
Mom. Oh, I sure am. Yes,
so this
sir.
is Mother's fault for taking too long. Is that what this is? Is that what you're giving us a problem with?
Well, I guess I was making an overplay on an NBA game or something. How are you guys doing?
We're great.
How about you, buddies?
Great.
Everybody
First of
okay?
all, look at this place. Have
It's
you
a
seen
beautiful-
Pop Stroke? It's cool. So it's like more luxurious. They have a swimming pool upstairs.
Oh, they do, and they got a great little. They across the street. They got the golf stuff too. They got.
they got 2 golf things, and they got a shuttle that goes from the airport to here.
Oh, do they really?
So people who miss their flights or have a long connection, they come here and they can play for a little
Well,
bit.
that's an excellent point. And they got the little. That's not real sand in there, is
No.
it?
No,
it's not real sand.
Not real sand. We're going to be.
But I like it though. You're right.
Yes.
It's got a. Do you ever come here and work on your putting?
Well, this
Colin?
place just opened. This place opened probably 3-4 weeks ago.
Oh, it did really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were here for the ribbon ceremony a couple of weeks
You were.
back. Yeah.
Okay.
It was fantastic.
Did you talk to Marty Smith today at 4:05?
No.
Yeah, we had Marty Smith top of the show. 4:05.
No, don't. You had
Marty Smith today?
You had a problem with that.
Yeah,
you had a big problem with
I
that.
didn't like that because the two of you have to realize after 57 million people watch the Bills and Chiefs on Sunday afternoon that maybe between 4 and 4:30 you give your West Palm Beach audience on this wonderful station a little opportunity to talk Bills Chiefs.
Well, absolutely, but hold on. We're sitting here. Let's just say we don't have a full slate of callers, so that's number one. Number two.
Well, we have to work on that. That's number two.
You're right. But when the communications guy, Adam, who's great with us at the TGL, says we could get you Marty at 4:15, 4:20.
Here's what you tell Adam. Adam, I love you. Can we tape it before 4 o'clock or maybe after 4:30? Can you do that?
Are we, hang on.
Are
we? Can we do that at this point in our career?
Yes, you
can. We tell Marty Smith to kick rocks?
You have to tell the PR person.
Okay.
Adam,
okay.
you don't tell Marty. You tell.
Okay.
Can you give me a little room with the big championship
And
game
if and when
on
he
Sunday?
says no, and then if and when he says no, then we're then.
Well, then okay. Well, then you got to work on it, but you got to give him the chance to tell you no. Correct?
Okay.
Anyway, how you doing?
Good. Welcome to the program.
Very
We're
good.
excited to have you here.
Your mother and I just bought a $26 million condo today.
What, you put a bid in? You're waiting on it to close? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I'm kidding.
All right, so I heard you got stuck behind a bunch of bridges today in Jupiter. Is that
5 bridges.
Oh,
You
my
got
gosh.
so many bridges in here. 5 bridges, enough already. In Jupiter, Juno B, over here. 5. This traffic is not that many people live down here for crying out loud. 5.
Less
5
bridges? What do you want them to do about the water? You got to get there somehow.
They put the bridge up 4 hours before a little sailboat goes through.
Everyone's on their boat. It's a beautiful day, right? Everyone's on the boat.
It is a Wednesday. That is a little much. Saturday makes sense, but a Wednesday is
I couldn't, but for a little sailboat with a little mast. Enough already for crying out loud. Gee whiz. Anyway, what else is going on? The two of you.
Not much. So we've had a fun show today, outdoors here. So there's nothing wrong with that. We were talking about the NBA trade deadline a little bit. I know you guys led with that over on First Take.
Oh, God almighty, yes.
Little Bronny talk, which I know you love. So,
Did you guys see last night?
He was bad.
Packed the Kingdom Come, got stuffed the Kingdom Come on that, and then he turned the ball.
Oh, yeah, he was 0 for 5 and 3. That was a little
it was funny, Stephen A. pleading with LeBron from father to father that he should get LeBron out of the G League.
He happens to be right. I mean, it's ridiculous. He should not. And I tell you, I've had enough of Jimmy Butler. What's the latest?
Oh my God.
Butler posted
Dog, I
a
don't
video
talk
today.
about it.
What was that about? Do you know?
What's the latest on it?
He
We're
just
waiting.
posted a video.
Oh, he posted a video about his credit card declining, a little joke that he's now quote unquote unemployed. That was the whole idea, which is stupid because he's making $52 million.
Yeah, nobody. There's a guy that doesn't have any feel of what the American sports fan is thinking about.
That's
right
why,
now. No feel whatsoever.
They're so entitled and they're so completely delusionally out of reality.
Oh my gosh, have a feel that what? Everybody's mad at you for doing it. You're making $50 million.
You're 37 years old. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
No, I had a problem with De'Aaron Fox giving the Sacramento Kings a wish list.
I don't like that either.
I thought that was petty.
Sounds like San Antonio.
Oh my, yeah. He specifically said he wants to play in San Antonio. He wants to play with Lebanon Army. You want to know what I told Colin? I said, if Santa Claus is listening, I want to get us some UConn courtside seats too.
Well, you don't average 30 points for an NBA franchise. You got to understand.
A wish list.
Yeah, but this is not foreign to
What are we
players
doing?
here. I understand it's a little bit of a problem.
It's a problem. You don't like it.
Yeah,
we're done. It just got started. We're done. I hear the music. What's going on?
Hold on. How about you don't show up about 4 minutes before the outro, and then maybe we'll do a
Hey, what do I do with the music? You don't get me here very often. Let's go here. I'm just getting warmed up.
Good job. See you in a year. Chris Russo, of course, Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, live from Pop Stroke. That's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. We'll be back at it tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. Catch us then on no other place than ESPN 106.3.